You stir to the rustle of reed mats beneath sandaled feet, the air thick with the sharp, coppery scent of incense and the distant bleat of sacrificial goats. Darkness cloaks the mud brick house, its walls slick with Mesopotamian heat, as your small hands clutch the woolen blanket your mother wove last harvest. Barely 12 summers old, your skin is smooth, untouched, your eyes wide with an innocence yet to know love's touch. But the men at the door are not family. They are priests from Marduk's great temple, their shaved heads gleaming in torchlight, robes dyed deep purple from sea snail shells. One, his beard coiled like a scorpion's tail, leans close, his breath hot against your ear, murmuring words in a cadence that promises divine favor. In the corner, your mother weeps silently, her rough fingers twisting her tunic's hem, helpless against the god's call. Fear twists in your gut like the Euphrates floodwaters, cold and relentless, as they lift you from your bed and carry you into Babylon's starlit streets, where the ziggurat looms, a shadowed giant poised to swallow you whole. Before we dive into these lost tales of survival and suffering, if you're drawn to history's hidden truths, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories like this. Comment below to share where you're listening from. I'm amazed we're connected across the world, exploring ancient lives through our shared curiosity. The night air bites your bare arms as they march you through winding alleys, past homes where oil lamps flicker behind lattice windows, casting sharp shadows on sun-baked clay. The river's low hum echoes nearby, its dark waters carrying silt to fields beyond the city gates. Babylon, under King Hammurabi's reign around 1800 BC, sprawls like a living beast, its pulse throbbing in the temple district where gods demand their due. Your feet, unused to rough paving, stumble on a loose brick, and the priest's grip tightens, his rings digging into your shoulder like claws from the royal lion hunts. He speaks no more, but his eyes, lined with coal to ward off spirits, gleam with something far from kindness, a servant of powers beyond kings. In the ziggurat's shadow, built tier upon tier like steps to the heavens, the priests of Marduk and his consort hold sway over souls and flesh. Hammurabi, born around 1810 BC and enthroned in 1792 BC, carved justice into a towering diorite stele, proclaiming divine law. Yet even he bowed to the temple's ancient rites, etched in cuneiform on clay tablets, calling for purity and sacrifice, young lives offered to divine service. In the flickering glow of the temple's inner sanctum, your fate unfolds not through acts of valor or cunning, but through a calling steeped in ancient tradition, chosen by the priests for an untouched state deemed right for the goddess Ishtar's embrace. As you approach the imposing Ishtar Gate, its majestic presence a testament to Babylon's grandeur, the air becomes dense, saturated with the scent of myrrh spiraling skyward from bronze braziers. The guards stationed at the entrance are silent sentinels, their copper-tipped spears a representation of divine authority, forged within the very fires of the temple. Under helmets adorned with exotic feathers from far-flung Dilmun, expressions remain dismissive yet resolute. In the bustling courtyard, the priests' acolytes, young men not much older than you, labor diligently sweeping the stone pathways with palm frond brooms. Their movements are automated, eyes locked on the ground beneath them, their expressions etched with an acceptance of ritualistic servitude. From amongst them, a solitary glance meets yours, a hollow gaze set within gaunt features shaped by meals scarce in sustenance, before a senior priest's impending cough silences any illicit exchange. The high priest, Enmakar, commands a revered space here, his authority rooted in lineage and tradition, claimed to echo the whispers of Marduk himself. Shrouded in garments of finely spun gold, 9 miles away in the Anatolian ranges, Enmakar adjudicates destiny with a simple nod, his will as inescapable as the Euphrates currents. Your mother, driven by desperation, sought the intervention of a local scribe, her pleas etched onto papyrus, stained by mingled tears, yet fate seemed deaf to her cries. The response, terse yet unyielding, cited prophetic omens read upon sheep livers in enigmatic divination rites, demanding the submission of a servant to Ishtar's cult. In the innermost temple chamber, adorned with frescoes depicting eternal contests between lions and bulls, you're introduced to the paradoxical essence of Ishtar, love locked in ceaseless conflict with war. Within this dim sanctuary, illuminated by the wan flames of tallow candles, you're stripped of your simple linen tunic, your only remembrance of your father's toil, and ceremonially anointed with sesame oil amidst ancient incantations. The goddess, revered as the morning and evening star, holds dominion over fertility and warfare, her temple spanning from Uruk to Nineveh, a haven for devotees pledged to her enigmatic mysteries. But for youths like you, submission implies a darker passage, wrought through binding rituals designed to uphold purity by irreversible transformation. Accounts preserved on clay tablets originating from Nippur and Babylon, dating from the Old Babylonian era, 1900 to 1600 BC, chronicle the Asinu and Kurgru, male devotees performing sacred rites, often clad in effeminate apparel, vocalizing lamentations resonating within temple precincts. These men were not innately tied to their roles, but were selected and reshaped, their physical forms contorted to disengage from mundane aspirations. Your ordeal begins with isolation, encapsulated within these walls, accompanied only by a straw mat and a lone jug of tamarisk-infused water, intended to cleanse your spirit. The boundaries separating days blur into each other, pierced only by distant chanting, the high intonations of gala priests permeating walls like a mist swirling the riverbanks. Under the fong of hunger deliberately employed to weaken resistance, visions emerge unbidden. The face of your mother distorted by inconsolable sorrow, or pastoral landscapes once filled with childhood mirth. Upon the third evening, Enmakar himself visits, his arrival heralded by the soft clink of lapis lazuli talismans, sourced from the highlands of Badakhshan. Settling comfortably cross-legged, his gaze probes for any vestiges of rebellion. The goddess demands vessels free of mortal taint. He articulates, his tones smooth and ominous as polished obsidian. Though your spirit yearns to cry out, to plead for release, terror renders speech futile. To resist signifies not only your demise, but attracts ruin upon your kin, land claimed by the temple's hands through Hammurabi's edicts. In Babylon, authority bends towards the priesthood. Kings like Hammurabi, whose reign ceased in 1750 BC, commissioned expansive sanctuaries to fortify rule, yet priests harbored oracles capable of dethroning empires. Enmakar's momentary falter, perhaps a whisper from his own past stirring within him, quickly solidifies as duty overcomes doubt. He speaks of the rite in reverential whispers, not pronounced in cruelty, but driven by an unyielding conviction that divinity's yearning must be fulfilled. The act, detailed in medical texts and alluded to in myths like Inanna's Descent, involves castration, a severing to preserve virginity, crafting eunuchs for eternal service. Temple archives list bronze knives, sharpened on whetstones, and herbal poultices to stem bleeding. At dawn, as sunlight gilds the ziggurat's peak, they bind you to a wooden altar in a hidden sanctum, its surface worn smooth and stained with old blood. The air reeks of vinegar used to clean the blades, your cries blending with hymns invoking Ishtar's mercy. Pain erupts like a tigress storm, your body straining against date palm ropes. The chief surgeon, Shulgia Hill from Iduba's healing schools works with steady hands, brow furrowed, whispering apologies none but you hear. Blood pools on the stone, warm and sticky, as attendants press myrrh-soaked cloths to the wound, its scent sharp and overpowering. Recovery stretches through weeks in a dim infirmary, where fever dreams blur waking and delirium. Groans of other boys, some from Kish, others from Euphrates villages, fill the air. One, Belshanu, whispers at night, his voice cracked, sharing tales of his home where date palms swayed. His grief is raw, fingers clutching bandages, eyes wet with unshed tears. Priests monitor closely, applying garlic and honey salves to ward off infection, their care efficient but cold, like farmers tending stock. Psychological scars cut deeper. Confusion swirls. Why the gods demand this? But doubt festers silently. For questioning risks Marduk's wrath, his statues glaring with shell and gold eyes. Healed, your new life unfolds in the temple's rhythm. Clad in indigo-dyed linen skirts from Phoenician traders, you learn the Korgura dances, mimicking Ishtar's battles, feet stamping reed mats to goat-hide drums. Your altered voice joins the gala choirs, singing laments for Tammuz, Ishtar's consort, who dies with the dry season. These rituals, noted in 18th century BC texts, draw crowds to festivals, filling temple coffers with silver and grain. Yet beneath the spectacle lies horror, enforced servitude, bodies remade without consent, purity bought at humanity's cost. Power hums in every corner. The high priest's favor grants better rations or a softer bed. Disfavor means nights in the outer courts, exposed to desert winds. Historical tablets, like one from 1750 BC, list a boy, Marduk, dedicated at 11, his family paid in barley and a ewe. He rose as a performer, his laments etched in hymns, but notations of a restless spirit hint at his melancholy. Picture him in the temple gardens under acacia shade, tracing dust patterns, grief carving his young face. Escape is unthinkable. Guards patrol, river gates lock at dusk. Instead, he pours pain in his song, his voice chilling listeners with its woven suffering. Babylon's golden age, under Hammurabi, stretched from the Persian Gulf to the Zagros, folding diverse peoples into its rites. Priests visited cities like Mari, where 20th century AD excavations uncovered Babylonian-style temples. In 1760 BC, Mari's king Zimri-Lim, allied with Hammurabi, sent boys as tribute, their fear noted in scribes' records of trembling hands. These youths faced the same fate, offered to Ishtar in rites blending ecstasy and agony. Emotion weighs heavy, early confusion, why me, hardens in a vacant stares. Hesitation marks each step, a pause before ritual chambers, breath catching at what awaits. Grief seeps out in stolen sobs, muffled by cloaks, or in moonlit gazes through barred windows, yearning for lost childhoods. Fear binds it all, not just of a knife, but of divine wrath, tales of plagues or blood-red rivers. Even priests like Enmakar, in private scrolls, hint at doubts, their quills pausing over phrases like the weight of purity.